More than 20 years ago, when I read the first Harry Potter book, I would not have been able to imagine a world where Hogwarts Legacy was a reality. Yet on the 10th of February 2023, it became one, at least for anyone who owns a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, or PC. Legacy made a really smart decision in concept. This entire adventure is set 200 years prior to the one that takes place in Rowling's novels, or indeed the films based upon her books. This creates as blank a canvas as possible for the writers to put together their own story within this world. Certain iconic elements do remain, such as the titular school and some familiar surnames. Your story as a witch or wizard begins in your 5th year. In order to help you catch up to your peers, a professor named Fig is tasked with bringing you up to speed. One eventful trip to school later, your protagonist's rare ability to see ancient magical traces has put you square in the crosshairs of a goblin who's trying to start a rebellion against wizard kind. Ranrock and the members of his revolt are this game's primary antagonists, and while paths from Hogwarts are many and winding, most lead back in some form to Ranrock or his cronies. This fortunately means that the game doesn't have to try and sensationalize a schoolyard brawl into a plot to save the world. It also provides compelling story reasons to explore areas of the map that are not Hogwarts itself. This loosely divides the game into 2 paths. The first is your normal student life, where you catch up on 4 years of spell work and help the students deal with their school problems. This is almost one long continuous tutorial for the other half of the plot. This sees you investigate what ancient magic is, and why Ranrock seems to possess artifacts laced with it. I found both sides of this story to be compelling in their own way. The studies and lessons at school pulled strongly at the 10-year-old me who read The Philosopher's Stone, and dreamed of getting my own letter to Hogwarts. The tale of ancient magic appealed to the adult, who sees the great responsibility those with power to alter the very fabric of the world must face. There are a wide range of characters throughout this story, and each of them has been designed to bring something different to the table. When it comes to good examples, the excitable Professor Rowan shows off the range of vocal talent on display in the game.
Shall we begin? Welcome to Year 5 of Charms. Now, this will be a crucial year in your education on the art of charm work, but I am confident that we will take hold with the passion and rigor requisite of such a challenge. Right?
The vast majority of these characters do have common accents that you'd expect for a game set in Britain. As someone who also lives there, I'd say this was a good mix, even if everyone's English is a little too clean. There's not the slang in these dialects that you'd expect, were this a real school containing this diverse a cast. The characters that are the most developed do tend to be the adults, such as Fig and Matilda Weasley. These are also some of the better performances too. The students tend to be a bit let down by comparison, with a few exceptions. One such exception would be Sebastian. He's a Slytherin boy who does embody a lot of the traits you'd expect of his house. He breaks the rules and is a bit of a hothead, but he was one of the only characters that I genuinely believed was a struggling teenager. His side quest presented the tale of a boy determined to go to any length to save his sister, all the while teetering on the edge of emotional stability. Even if you don't want to learn the spells that his questline provides, this is a compelling subplot that offers consequence for both action and inaction. The game is a mostly open world affair, with loading screens between entering dungeons or fast travelling between areas. You move around and explore the Hogwarts castle and grounds, solving puzzles and uncovering hidden secrets. This will be a massive part of the appeal of the game, as you can literally explore the whole school. I honestly don't know a better way to describe it than if you ever wanted a virtual tour of Hogwarts, this is the best way to do it, as your favourite location is likely to be realised here. This is an open world filled with all the completionist activities and map markers you could want, but the first 6 to 10 hours of the game are best spent hitting the main quest. Unlocking key features such as flight and the Room of Requirement make this game a lot more enjoyable and give you better control of your own progression. You'll need everything you've learned in those early hours to go out into the world too, as dotted around the highlands near the castle are monstrous wolves or spiders, as well as dark wizards and poachers. This is where combat comes in. Combat feels like a third-person shooter, but with more utility and smarter targeting. You can use spells to maintain control of the battlefield, and then aim at your enemies to deal damage. To begin with, you'll be throwing little more than a basic flick of your wand, but after some study, you'll be able to disarm your enemies and set them on fire. You can even learn the 3 unforgivable curses. Combat is undeniably fun, and there are plenty of spells to learn and utilise. The general flow of battle is using the basic cast to chain between abilities on your hotbar, and then using Protego to block and counter your enemy's attacks. While the strength of your spells are affected by gear and this game's RPG elements, including character level, combat never does devolve into hitting every skill on your action bar and then waiting for cooldowns. Some enemies are specifically designed to rebuke that approach. Clever use of potions and plants allows for some additional versatility, and you'll likely need to use these aspects at certain points to succeed, particularly if you're playing on a harder difficulty. Other activities available include puzzles in the form of Merlin trials, astronomy points, and clearing out poacher camps. It says a lot about this game that a large part of the map feels like an overwhelming dump of markers, but it did take longer than a game usually would to devolve into that kind of completionist box checking. Early on at least, you'll be heading to a location to perform an action and end up being distracted by something new and interesting along the way, like something shiny out of the corner of your eye. Progression here does use a leveling system, but a better tale of your progression is the field guide, which you are given early on in your adventure. This tracks what the game calls challenges, and there's a series of these for pretty much everything you can do in-game. These grant experience and cosmetic rewards for hitting certain milestones, and contribute in a big way to your character level. This level affects your overall health and what gear you can equip, with shops in Hogsmeade, chests, and Fallen Foes being a good source of gear. These all have a rarity value, following the standard formula of green, blue, purple, and orange. Each piece also has a cosmetic property as well. These are not just a stat stick. Not all of these are good, however, and some are completely ridiculous. So the game does have a free transmogrification system where you can change the appearance of any gear to any other piece of gear that you've already owned. Progression can also be measured in terms of spells unlocked, as well as talents, which are gained upon leveling up after level 5. These can be put into any category to assist with different types of gameplay, and these have a meaningful impact on your playstyle. Progression is also measured within the Room of Requirement. This is your own little hideout, where you can harvest herbs, brew potions, and look after magical beasts. These all contribute to your character, allowing you to keep stocked up on consumable items, while the beasts drop crafting materials for traits and gear upgrades. These end up working a bit like gems that are dropped into certain pieces of gear that give you minor to major stat buffs. Combining a talent and a trait that buff the same spell can make it incredibly potent. Beasts can be captured at their dens under the guise of rescuing them and brought back to your magical vivarium, where you can feed and brush them in a kind of minigame. There is a lot to do in every aspect of this game. It's one that I found really interesting to explore, and it has plenty of systems to help push your power up. If you're more into aesthetics, you can customize the Room of Requirement with tables, chairs, and decorations as you see fit. It's not quite Animal Crossing, but it is pretty close. These features work within the world design to create a great looking game. It's one you can really appreciate when you hop on a broom and fly over a lake. If you have the power to push ray tracing to the maximum, you can see light effects during spellcasting and in reflections, and these are rather well done. Weather details such as raindrops appearing on coats is also a nice touch, which adds to the graphical fidelity of this game. A lot of work clearly went into the design of the character models for teachers and the main cast. The lip syncing isn't great at times, but the overall aesthetic is very, very strong. Some of the students' models fall short of this level of quality, and it is really a bit hit and miss as to who looks amazing and who looks a little goofy. There's so much more that I could say about Hogwarts Legacy, but I'm also scared of spoiling this for you. I'm of the opinion that this game deserves a place alongside The Witcher 3 and Breath of the Wild on the pantheon of great open world games, and while it does fall into some generic traits, the overall experience rises well above most others. You do have to be a fan of this source material, at least if you want to appreciate all of this game to its fullest. I'm more than willing to live with a few generic open world traits and chasing map markers if I can do all of it with this level of magical freedom. Hogwarts Legacy is a must buy for anybody who owns one of the latest consoles or a PC that can run it.